Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to this explainer. Today we're looking at something that is fundamentally changing how every single one of us works at a computer. I mean, if you've been paying attention to the digital landscape recently, you've probably noticed this massive shift in the tools we use to create, design, and code. We're literally moving past that whole era of disjointed apps and entering the 2026 suite of new AI tools. And the core of it, it's all about unifying our workflows. We're going to break down exactly how this revolution is happening and look at the most impactful new software on the market.
So here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll tackle the app switching problem. Then, we'll look at Google Flow and unified creation, followed by designing at thought speed, automating code and logic, and finally, upgrading our everyday workflows.
Let's start with Section 1, the app switching problem. This is really the modern digital bottleneck. Think about it for a second. How many different apps do you actually use for a single project? Like, if you're making a marketing presentation, maybe you're in a word processor for the script, right? Then you're bouncing over to an image generator for the visuals, taking those visuals into a photo editor to tweak them, pulling the whole shebang into a slide deck software, and maybe hopping into a music app for some background audio. It's just this endless cycle of exporting, importing, and context switching. And honestly, it totally drains our focus and our time.
And this brilliantly illustrates the shift we're seeing. The 2024 workflow was completely defined by fragmentation. Bouncing between 5 or more different apps just to finish one single task. But 2026? It's all about unified, conversational AI generation happening in a single space. You don't go to the tool anymore. The tools come directly to your conversation.
Moving on to Section 2, Google Flow, Unified Creation. This is really the ultimate case study in streamlining. So Google Flow is this AI creative studio that expands way beyond just simple video generation. It unifies image generation, video creation, editing, music, and custom tools. And here's exactly how it completely streamlines your workflow. Instead of rendering a video on one app, downloading it, opening up an entirely separate music software, generating a track, and then pulling them both into an editor, Flow brings that entire creative suite into one continuous interface. It's a real game changer.
But here's the real secret sauce of Google Flow: creating and refining projects conversationally. This is the paradigm shift, guys. You're no longer navigating these complex menus or hunting for that one specific export setting. You're just chatting with your software. You tell the studio what you want, you ask it to tweak the lighting, you ask it to change the background track, and it just iterates right there in front of you.
And the engine making this whole conversational, unified workflow possible? That's Gemini Omni. This is Google's newest multimodal model, and the keyword here is natively. It understands and generates across text, images, audio, and video formats completely seamlessly. It basically breaks down the walls between media types, which is exactly why tools like Google Flow can exist and function so incredibly smoothly. Let's move to Section 3 and see how this builds when we're designing at thought speed, applying these unified workflows to UI and UX.
If you're a designer, you've got to meet Stitch. It's Google's AI interface design tool. You literally just describe an app or website in plain English, and Stitch generates these fully editable UI designs. But it doesn't stop there. Recent updates mean it now features real-time collaboration, direct code import, and incredibly rapid design iteration. Again, you're managing the entire interface lifecycle from a single point of interaction.
Figma is following this exact same philosophy. The old way meant finishing a design in one app, then exporting all those assets into separate, often clunky animation tools just to see how a button hover should look. But now, with Figma Motion, you're creating those animations directly inside the native design workflow. It basically eliminates the need to ever leave your canvas.
And Figma takes this a step further with Figma Agent. Instead of manually dragging and dropping to build every single box, button, and menu, Figma Agent acts as your conversational partner. It generates and modifies UI elements using natural language prompts. You just tell it what the interface needs to do, and it helps you iterate instantly.
We're also seeing this unified generation approach hit everyday marketing with Google Pics. This tool pivots away from just making wild, artistic AI art and focuses directly on practical graphics, posters, flyers, infographics, and marketing assets. It's an AI image creation and editing tool built specifically to streamline the production of the assets businesses actually need on a daily basis, all without leaving the app.
Section 4, Automating Code and Logic. Let's look at bringing conversational AI over to development. This brings us to Google Opal, which lets you build AI workflows visually. You simply describe your goal, and an AI agent automatically selects the right models and tools and executes the visual workflow. Instead of a developer having to manually write scripts to chain complex models together, the AI handles the logic and assembly for you, all based on a simple conversational prompt.
And then we have Jules. The whole idea of an AI coding assistant has fundamentally evolved into an AI coding agent. Powered by Gemini 3 Flash, Jules doesn't just suggest a single line of code as you type. It understands entire repositories, helps refactor whole projects, generates its own pull requests, and automates massive development tasks. It is effectively a partner developer living right inside your workspace.
Section 5. Upgrading everyday workflows. This is the AI advantage for daily organization.
You likely remember Notebook LM. Well, Google has renamed it to Gemini Notebook, and the expansion here is massive. Now, what's really interesting about this is that it's no longer just a text analysis tool. It now handles AI-generated videos, narrated slides, podcasts, and even code execution for supported users. It's transformed into an absolute powerhouse, remaining one of the best AI learning and research tools available, but now it's all unified in one notebook.
And for the most everyday task of all, just capturing your thoughts, we have the Google Keep Brain Dump. Look, we all have those chaotic, messy streams of thought that make absolutely zero sense 10 minutes later, right? Well, this feature automatically transforms that unstructured chaos into perfectly organized notes and lists instantly. It basically takes your mess and structures it perfectly, without you having to manually sort or format a thing.
So, the crucial point is that we've just walked through 10 distinct, cutting-edge AI tools from 2026. Whether you're using Google Flow for creative media, Stitch for UI, Jules for development, or Keep for everyday tasks, they all share one incredible primary benefit. They're ending the era of app switching and replacing it entirely with unified, conversational work.
Which leaves us with this final thought to close out our explainer today. The friction of the digital workflow is basically disappearing. If AI can now unify all your creative, design, and coding tasks into one seamless conversation, eliminating the exports, the manual linking, and that endless app hopping, what will you build with all the time you save? Think about how you can start implementing these conversational workflows today. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive, and keep learning.